You know, for 40 years, prime ministers have come and gone. Mumbai's skyline has shot up into the clouds. But one place, right in the heart of the city, has been this constant, massive challenge: Dharavi, one of Asia's biggest slums. Well, after all that waiting, a billion-dollar plan is finally kicking into gear to totally transform it.
But let's be real, this is a huge gamble. Is this plan going to create a shiny, world-class business hub that lifts millions of people up? Or is it going to completely wipe out a bustling, informal economy and push 1 million people out of their homes? That's the huge question we're diving into.
All right, so to really get what all the fuss is about, we've got to look at the deal itself. On paper, it sounds like it could fix everything. But, as you're about to see, some people are saying it's completely broken from the get-go.
Okay, so the whole thing is built around this model called the Slum Rehabilitation Authority, or SRA. And on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward, right? It's basically a simple trade. A private developer, in this case the Adani Group, comes in and builds free houses for the people living in the slum. And what do they get in return? They get all the leftover land. And we're talking some of the most valuable real estate in the entire country. They can then build fancy luxury towers and malls on that land, and that's how they make their money back, and then some.
And right away, this deal just splits everyone down the middle. You got two completely different ways of looking at it. First, you have the pragmatists. They're saying, look, this is the only way this is ever going to happen. A project this gigantic needs a developer with seriously deep pockets to pull it off. But then you have the advocates, and they see a massive injustice here. They argue the whole model is just set up to make wealthy capitalists even richer, right on the backs of Dharavi's poorest people.
So what does this actually mean for the people who live there? Let's get into the human side of this, because the two pictures being painted of life after this project, well, they couldn't be more different.
One of the biggest fears here, and it's a really big one, comes from looking at what's happened before with these kinds of projects. Critics, like Professor Hussein Indarala, point to other SRA buildings and call them vertical slums. That's a pretty intense phrase, right? The idea is that you're just packing people into these high-rises, cramming them together with almost no open space, no amenities, basically just stacking the same old problems higher into the sky instead of actually fixing them.
But then you hear the other side. Supporters, like real estate expert Gautam Zia, they fire back with the harsh reality of what life is like in Dharavi right now. He paints this really powerful picture about the total lack of privacy, the loss of dignity. Think about it. You have multiple generations crammed into a tiny 200-square-foot room. They call it a koli. He describes a situation where family members literally have to step outside so that a married couple can have a single moment alone. It's just an incredibly tough way to live. Okay, now here's one of the biggest promises of the whole SRA model. It's called in situ rehabilitation. It's a fancy term that just means people get new homes right where they already live. This is supposed to protect their jobs, their communities, their whole lives. But, and this is a huge but, there's a catch. The project splits everyone into two groups, eligible and ineligible. To be eligible to stay, you have to prove you've lived there since before the year 2000. So what about everyone else? All the renters, the newer families, people who just don't have the right paperwork. They get moved. And not just down the street, but far, far away from Dharavi. But this whole deal isn't just about Dharavi. Not even close. Its impact could ripple out across the entire city of Mumbai. And it's all because of this one really controversial and super powerful tool in the world of real estate. So what is this tool? It's called TDR, which stands for Transfer of Development Rights. The easiest way to think about it is like a coupon or a credit. The city gives this credit to a developer as a reward for doing something good for the public, like building free housing. The developer can then take that credit and either sell it to someone else or use it themselves to build way, way taller buildings somewhere else in the city. It's basically permission to build bigger.
Here's the thing, though. The TDR for the Dharavi project, it's not your standard TDR. No, this is like TDR on steroids. It's a special, supercharged version that comes with its own set of rules that make it insanely valuable. For example, it can be sold for up to 90% of the land value where it's eventually used. That kind of value could send massive shockwaves through Mumbai's entire real estate market.
And if you want to understand just how powerful this thing is, get ready for this number. Under the new rules, 40%, that's almost half of all future development projects anywhere in Mumbai will be forced to buy this specific TDR. And they have to buy it directly from the developer handling the Dharavi project. It's a guaranteed market. Okay, so let's just strip away all the complicated financial stuff for a second, all of the political promises. When you get right down to it, what is the fundamental choice being made here? What is the real heart of the Dharavi gamble? And really, it all boils down to two totally different philosophies, two different starting points. One side says you have to start with the people, period. Any development has to put their health, their jobs, their communities first and foremost. Housing is a human right, not just an asset. But the other side says, hold on, you have to start with the money. They argue that for a project this massive and this complicated to actually get finished, it has to be profitable. Otherwise, no developer will ever touch it. For them, it's just the only practical, realistic way to get it done.
And so that leaves us with the final nagging question at the center of this whole thing. When you're trying to build a modern dream for 1 million people, is it even possible to do it without someone, somewhere, having to pay a very, very steep price?